Meeting to order. Today is September 18th. Sorry, just got back from vacation. And at this time, we will do the invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Pastor Steve, David Butler.
Would you bow your heads, please? Holy God, our Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings that our local community has. Our beautiful beaches, bountiful harbor, and the Gulf. Thank you for allowing us to live where you, O God, showed off in creation. I pray for those who are in the offices that govern this community, and that they make wise and godly decisions which are always in the best interest of the community. I pray for them to be blessed by you, God, and also those who are in our law enforcement and for all first responders. Protect our strong military, men and women. Please protect them in their line of duty so that they might protect us. I'm thankful that we can acknowledge that you, Lord God, are the Lord over our city. This I thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Councilwoman Aber with the pledge.
Please join me with your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You may be seated. And before we get going, I just wanted to say happy birthday to Pastor David Butler. Thank you so much for sharing your birthday and being up here and blessing us. So thank you so much. I'll save you the embarrassment of the song. All right. So at this time, I will accept a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
All right. Do I hear a second?
I'd like to make a change.
You got a change? Okay.
On the agenda, I'd like to make the motion that we move 401 Beach Drive up, and we move the undergrounding utilities to the front of city manager reports so that they can get out of here. There's people in the crowd that need to leave, but I'd like to move 401 Beach Drive up immediately. I spoke with Kim about this earlier. Kim?
Second. All right. We'll go A, so 4A, 4D, and then into the consent agenda. All right. Everyone go with that?
Yep.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, calling the vote. All right, ayes have it, so moved. All right, at this time, we will have our Public Works, Public Safety Work Plan by our own Jim Wood, Chairman. Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jim Wood, 3790 Misty Way. So before you tonight, you have our FY24 Public Works, Public Safety Work Plan. Structurally, not a lot different from before. We did change our goals section to have goals and strategies to achieve them to get the right wording in there. I did take off my list of guest speakers I used before. I'm having some challenges with meeting management, so we're going to shorten our meetings. When I do that, we'll bring them back. So as far as the goals go, most of these are all a work in progress. I'm having trouble finding effective ways to measure what we're doing sometimes. Some of the big things we've been doing, of course, the flashing pedestrian beacons got put around town. We just got 6 more in. They've been assembled but have not been deployed yet. We've been using our stealth speed device at 5 locations around town. Of those 5, only 1 measured up to not pass the warrant test, and that was Indian Trail at Mesa. So now we're going back and doing the petition process. We just approved the speed hump policy on the committee this last Tuesday, so that will be coming to you, I guess, next month. Once we get that done, we'll have a more formalized process with the speed study and the petition and get rid of the willy-nilly, I want one, whatever we're gonna do. So and we are purchasing the second stealth device. When we get that one, we'll probably deploy them together to see if they tell us the same thing. And once we get rid of that, when we deploy them, we'll probably deploy them at the same time each time we do it, whether it's Monday morning to Wednesday morning, so it's an apples to apples comparison. We really don't have to do that, but it's kind of hard to compare a Monday morning to a Friday afternoon. So we want to compare the same things. Otherwise, pretty much business as usual. We just did do a recommendation for the ADA transition plan, which I believe is coming to you at the next meeting in October. Lots of details, look at the priorities in that. It's a fairly expensive plan. I think you maybe have already seen some details. Otherwise, our committee is working fairly well. And subject to your questions, that concludes my presentation.
All right, well, I appreciate it. What was the one street that failed?
That was Indian Trail at Mesa. I think that's the vicinity of Lauren Court, I believe.
All right, thank you.
And that was, usually when your road is posted at 30, you gotta get to 41 miles an hour to be at the 85th percentile. That one was 43.
Okay.
So it was clearly over. The other 4 streets were between 36 and 38 posted at 30 miles an hour, so they did not measure up. So,
Councilman Schmidt?
Thank you, Jim, for coming tonight. So goal 3, and then you mentioned the policy for the speed humps that you're
Right.
thrilled about coming to us. In that policy or goal strategies, is there actually a plan about, was there supposed to be a plan about reviewing areas?
Yes.
As well? Is that part of
yes.
that, what's
Well,
coming to us?
We have different things we review. Now, each one of my members has an area around town we go through and
Right.
come back and report to the committee. We also have the road striping, road resurfacing, sidewalks, all those kind of lists that come to us. We reviewed all those during the year, so those should have
Right.
come to at some point earlier in the year. We'll do that again each year.
But specifically, there was supposed to be a reviewing, strategically planning areas of need for speed humps from the committee.
Well, man, the whole point on speed humps was if somebody comes wanting a speed hump, we go out and do the study, we do the petition,
Right.
we then make a recommendation to you
Right.
to
Okay.
do or not do. I'm sure if the 85th percentile is met and we get a petition, I'm sure we're going to recommend to do them. I don't know why we wouldn't.
Okay.
That's the only plan I
No worries.
know of there, so.
I appreciate the answer.
Anything else?
All right, seeing none. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. All right, so before the public comments, we're going to jump right ahead
Mayor?
to 4A. Yes.
There's a recommended motion.
Oh, sorry.
Motion to approve their work plan.
Do I have a second?
Second, okay.
Seeing no further discussion, thank you, Ray. All right, thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just to be sure, what if there are public comments on 4A? before we
That's
skip
kind of what I
public
was thinking.
comments?
Yeah, we were talking back and forth with
Okay.
Kim. Yeah, I would prefer the public comments. Is that okay? All right, yeah, I would prefer to do the public comments first.
I think I was just going to give the city council an update for you all as far as 401 Beach Drive, and then if you want to take the public comments, would that work for you?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So just as an update, the school board has included on their agenda for Monday, September 25th, a request for authorization for the submittal of a proposal to purchase a 7.6 acre vacant parcel of land located at 401 Beach Drive, Destin, Florida, which is contiguous to the boundary of the Destin Elementary School campus. It will be presented by Steve Horton, Deputy Superintendent, and the superintendent is recommending approval by the board. I wanted to let you all know that, and we also want to thank Dr. Diane Kelly, school board member, for coming, along with Mr. Grant Meyer, Director of Operations, and Dr. Bill Smith, Program Director of Facilities. They're in the audience tonight.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. All right, with that, I got Councilmember Bagby.
Yeah, I just want to thank y'all for coming tonight. I want to thank y'all for stepping up to plate to purchase that property. I think it will be a great asset to the community, but more importantly to that elementary school. 90% of the people that I've talked with that want to do that, it's about pickup and drop off and playgrounds and all the other things that I know y'all care about too, and I just want to say thank you, but I really want to thank you for coming tonight. Just showing up really says a lot to the people in this community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Abear.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jim. Well said. I would just basically like to say what he said. And thank you for being here. And I think our citizens are going to be tickled to death to have this kind of support and know that, you know, as a team, we want to make this happen because it's the right thing to do. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Councilman Destin.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Long time no see. I take it that you all are going to buy or intend to bid on the entire parcel. If for some reason you should need a partner, we're still here.
Awesome. Thank you for mentioning that. All right, seeing no further discussion, Kim, you want to keep going, or any further update?
It's up to you if you want to take public comments.
All right. All right, so at this time, we'll do public comments. You can speak on anything tonight except the public hearing, A or B. At that time, we'll open up the floor for those specific topics. But we'll come up here one at a time, 3 minutes, and just need your name and address. So I'll start with my right, stage left, and
Just to be clear, we're not done with 4A, right?
No.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
no.
Just,
Nope.
breezing right through it. Going under the table. Yep. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Good evening. Jay Howard, 772 Bayou Drive. I've got a couple of drawings that we had drawn up just to show the scale of the property, and I can hand them out if you want, I think.
Yeah, please, if you have enough.
So, yeah, these may or may not be relevant, but I think it's a good idea. It shows how the different groups that are interested in working with the school board and the city can kind of get their respective areas if that's the decision that the school board and the city decide to make. Other than that, I also, before some of the recent developments with the school board, I actually secured 2 separate $100,000 private donations towards the purchase of the property if needed be. So if that is not needed, I think those donations are actually, we've decided to put them towards the improvement of the playground and the landscaping around the playground.
So thank you so much.
Thanks, that's all I've got.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Awesome.
All right, anyone else moving to the center? No one from the school? Okay. Anyone else on my left? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public comments at this time. And are we going back to 4A, or you kind of got me on a loop here?
That is at your discretion if there's a motion to be made or further discussion.
We get a little consensus here. Do you want to continue on the discussion, or do we want to wait?
yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, jump on in.
Yeah, Kevin wants to speak. My discussion is that I'm appreciative of the school being here as well. But as of tonight, we don't, currently, the school district has not made a proposal to purchase this property. And it's the due date is tomorrow at 3 p.m. So their meeting is the 25th with their intentions of purchasing or making a proposal to purchase the property. And I'm excited. I'm excited that the school district will buy it. But until they vote 4 or 5, however many votes it takes to purchase that property, and as long as the broker possibly even accepts the bids next week, as of tonight, we're still the last potential option to buy it tomorrow or to try to extend for 1 more week. Did the attorney for the school district, do we know if they've reached out to the broker or anything, or has it?
The school board's attorney did reach out to the broker, and I spoke with the broker as well today. So, you know, it's in the council discretion what you want to do at this point.
I mean, I'm throwing out the idea, I'd like to talk, and maybe hear others, is to have some sort of decision tonight to make an offer contingent upon the school board also making trying to buy it next week, not to get in a bidding war, but to make it very clear in our decision that the purpose is for the school board to buy it, but we also don't want to lose it. We don't know what they might agree upon next week at their meeting, dollar amount wise. We don't know tomorrow if the broker will say no because he has a $3.9 million offer in his hand. A lot of unknowns, and I would hate to miss out on tomorrow. So I'd love to have a discussion on that, and then if we need to make a motion, we can throw that out there too.
All right, Councilman Gao.
Based off what Kevin says, and I agree, I would like to make the motion to authorize Lance and Kim to negotiate in the realm of the appraisal some type of offer. In the realm of the appraisal. So roughly where that appraisal, it would be their discretion based off their research of that realm of that appraisal.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay. You good? And then, Kim, do we need a number?
No, you do not. I know what the appraisal number is.
Okay. Councilman Destin.
Couple of questions. If I understand right, we have to put down 10% earnest money?
I think we can offer what we want, but they would like 10% earnest money.
Okay, but we do have to put down a substantial amount of earnest money. And if we do not buy and the school board buys, what happens to our earnest money we put down?
Again, I would address that in the terms of the offer we make. They would like us to lose the earnest money if we were to back out. But I think we could make the offer that we deem appropriate for the city if we make an offer at all.
Okay, the money for the earnest money, the source of it is the city or is it Jay?
I have no direction to have any earnest money from anybody, so it is up to you all and your discretion.
Getting a little fluid here. Okay, anybody else?
Councilman Bagby's up next.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate, you wanting to make the effort. I trust the school board to do the right thing, and I think I know the broker, I know Kim, and I know the school board's attorney has talked to the broker, and I feel confident that they will get it. If you want to make a motion, I would make a substitute motion that we authorize Lance and Kim to negotiate up to the school board's appraisal price and contingent on the school board bringing 95% of that, approving 95% of that. So that, to Mr. Destin's earlier point, we're a partner, Jay's a partner, there are other partners in the community, so that we're not on the hook for the full appraisal price, because the school board's stepping up to do the right thing. And we ought to let them do the right thing. We ought not to, if you want to have a placeholder there, I don't think we need it. I'm pretty sure the broker has advised the Canadians that the school board is interested and they're going to do the right thing, and this will all be done. But if we want to feel good, I'll make that substitute motion. But I will not vote for even up to the appraisal price where the city is on the hook for that and the city is on the hook for that earnest money or anything like that.
All right, who was the second on the original motion? Okay, do you want to accept that or no?
We've made a substitute.
So is there a second on the sub?
I'll take it so we can talk more about it.
Oh yeah, we got plenty to talk here. All right, Mr. King, Councilman King.
Would it be, is it possible for us to, and I don't know what these donors are willing to do, but is it possible for us to go for what we're willing to do to meet appraisal value or thereabouts, plus $200,000? Second question would be, would it be possible to do, and I feel like we're a team here, we both want the same thing, so is it possible for us, assuming we can come to terms with the school board, is it possible for us to go into an assignable type contract to where we can secure it now and then assign it to the school board after they've made their decision? Does that make any sense?
We can make the offer that you think is appropriate. I will discuss it with the broker and see if they accept it. So I would say make the offer that you're comfortable with, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so up next is Councilwoman Aber.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm hesitant to try and put something in writing or monetarily to muddy the waters, if nothing else, that we want to make sure that the school gets their opportunity to take care of this. And I don't know if there's a way to just say to the broker, can you give us a week extension till the school board can meet? Because we support what they want to do, and we want to make sure this happens without us having to come forward with any kind of meet the appraisal, give them a dollar offer, when we know ultimately what we're trying to do is just ask them to give us time. Is there any way to do something motion-wise to make this an ulterior way to hold this offer?
Yeah, that's kind of what we did on the first round, right? So I would say, yes, we could do that. The question is, this is in a receivership. It's a Canadian bankruptcy court. I do not know how it will all end up, but we can certainly make that request. I just don't want to give you a guarantee that it's going to go that way. I think it's likely. I would think that the broker would want to have all of the offers in hand before anyone makes a final decision. And I got the impression from him that they would reserve the right to make modifications to the current solicitation. So I think I am under the impression that that is possible.
All right, Councilman Schmidt.
Thank you. Mr. Bagby, your motion I'm not too sure of because I think what you're stating is also going to require the school board to agree to what your motion was. So that would have to be taken up on Monday at their meeting. So that's concerning to me, one. Two, Mr. Horton's not here. And I agree, we are a team with the school district because our goal is the same in mind, is to help the kids in this community. My concern and issue with that and just letting them take over and handle it is Mr. Horton stood up here almost 2 weeks ago and told us they only wanted a small portion of that parcel. And that's what he said. And it was pretty clear that that was what they wanted. So that's all I've heard. And I'm glad that these folks are here. But to now, potentially, I hear what Kim is saying, that we think the broker will do this. But if we leave here tonight without something more secure in place, there's that possibility that it's gone.
And I'll just add, I agree with the security part. I agree that we should do something as well, even if it muddies a little bit. But to the first point, I think a lot of the hesitation from the school board members was this is relatively a fast project and opportunity given government speed. And the fact that we're here and almost at the finish line, I think is very impressive and a really testament to the partnership in Okaloosa County. So I think now that people are getting caught up to speed, I think people are more desirable and eager in this now that they understand the scope. It's very hard to say if you're for or against something if you're not seeing the whole picture. So I think in the hesitation of being a little political in a good way, I think they were reserving to make sure that they had the information before stating something that may or may not be accurate. So I think to the people I've talked to today that are on the board, I agree with our Ms. Kopp that I think a lot of people are in the same sentiment of this is a good idea, and I believe that they're going to be doing the right thing as well. So just after talking to a few of them today, it seems like a lot of them are interested and eager to make this a win for the community. Councilman Destin.
Thank you, Mayor. Having served on the board with those folks for 8 years, I can assure you that the school board attorney and the superintendent would not represent they're interested in buying the entire parcel unless they felt pretty confident that they were interested in buying the entire parcel. The other point I would make is if we make some kind of an offer that's anywhere near the appraisal value, we've now tied their hands on negotiations. I mean, if we say, okay, we're going to give you the 4 or the 4.1, how can they come back and say, no, we really don't think it's worth that, but we think it's this. I just don't want to be getting in their way of what they're doing, and I feel confident, like I say, if they represent they're interested, they're going to make a good effort, a good faith effort to buy it.
Councilman Guile?
I agree with everybody that the school board is competent and diligent, but they don't meet until Monday, from what I understand. This agency has other offers other than the school board, and they're probably going to listen to those. I think Kim is an expert attorney. I think she understands exactly what the desires of this council are and what's best for this community. And I understand exactly what you're saying, Mr. Destin, but that's why I say we give her the liberty to negotiate what that number would be, something that's not unbearable for the city of Destin, but would be fair to give the school board a chance to do what they need to do to get the job done, and get this thing moving forward. And like Ms. Kopp kind of alluded to, The offer doesn't have to be a textbook offer. It doesn't have to say, here's 10% of X, this is what your full obligation is. She can write this in a manner that protects the city of Destin if it fails. I have complete faith in her in being able to write this in a manner, this offer in a manner that helps secure the option for the school board to convene on it and protect our best interest.
And to your point, after the first offer, we told them that we'd be in partnership with others. So for them to see us working together, wouldn't it be a blind side on their side? Councilman Bagby, final thoughts?
Yeah, a couple. Number one, to me, this isn't a question of do we want the property? Everybody wants the property. School board wants the property. We want the property. You know, the school wants the property. So the question is, do we trust the school board and do we trust our attorney? She's represented to us that they are going to make an offer. She's given us the agenda item for the school board meeting. I trust her and I trust the school board to do the right thing. You know, we could offer something and she could write the Magna Carta, but then that locks us in, not the school board. We can't lock the school board in, and I'm not getting locked in to a number that big. We're going to talk about Harbor One tonight. We got to spend money there. We're going to talk about renewal and replacement tonight. We got to spend money there. We got 2 beach parcels. We're going to talk about that tonight. We got to spend money there. I don't think there's a understanding that we are running out or have run out of money. Our desires exceed our ability to fund. And you can talk about, well, we'll raise the millage rate, you know, another 0.35 and get it up to the max of 2, which is as high as we can go. That dog's not going to hunt. I'm just going to tell you. And you can tell me, oh, well, it's only an average of $60 for the average household. The problem is most of our average households are on fixed incomes or limited incomes. You know, we're not talking about the people out on Holiday Isle or Crystal Beach or that live on the harbor who might have a little more discretionary income that $60 would hurt them. So I'm going to trust the school board. I believe, and even if we lock in at a number, oh, by the way, we can still get beat. Somebody, one of those other 2 entities can come in and say, well, we'll give you, you know, put an escalator clause in their contract and say, we'll give you $50,000 more than whatever else you get. That's all it takes. And I've done this. I'm sure Johnny's done escalator clauses a bunch. That's the way you win in a bidding war. And I don't want to get in a bidding war. I want to trust the school board to do what they want to do.
Councilman King.
Yeah, I'm say that I kind of am in agreement with what everybody's saying also, and I think we're saying mostly the same thing, but sort of saying different things too, you know? My recommendation, and I don't want to, you know, my recommendation would be if we were going to move forward with something like that, we'd do it in good faith that the school board takes over an assigned contract that the tricky thing is we don't, I think what is giving Mr. Schmidt some pause is that all this sounds great, but the deadline's tomorrow. So I think that we've got to make a decision tonight based on what we know for the children of this town. So that's all I've got. Thanks.
Councilman Guile.
So we've all agreed that we all trust Kim, and she's an expert in that field, but not one of us has asked her what she thinks the best course of action is. So Kim, as our attorney,
Oh, here, you want to hear a lawyer answer? You're about to hear a lawyer
how would you
answer.
advise us on how to move forward on this in a manner that helps secure this property for its intended use?
Well, one thing we could do is you could direct the city manager and I to negotiate on behalf of the city to a point where either the city or the school board goes under contract with them, subject to our respective appraisals, so that even though the deadline is tomorrow, they understand that the 2 entities, the city and the school board, are both looking at potential offers. I think that keeps it open. but doesn't obligate us to spend any kind of good faith deposit up front. That's a suggestion. Then it's a good idea.
It is now?
No, that is what the substitute motion is.
Substitute motion was up to 95%, that they cover up to 95%. We're
that's right.
talking no financial obligation, is what
No,
Kim just
we have
stated.
a financial obligation. We have a 5% financial obligation.
Microphone.
Yeah, we have a 5% from the get-go. And if we need to do more, then that goes to Mr. Destin's. We're here as your partner, and they can come back. That doesn't count the 300,000 that Jay has. That doesn't count, so, two.
200.
He's
just
he's
keep
gonna
racking
make
it up on
three.
you.
I got trust in Jay. Jay's a rainmaker. He's gonna bring 4, but anyway. No, so yeah, that's what it is. That's the substitute motion, is to, we're not signing up for the appraised value. We're signing up for up to the appraised value, provided the school board brings money. Guys, we don't have the money. You can, somebody want to show me a $4 million check or whatever price we're throwing out here, show me tonight.
All right, Councilman Schmidt.
Yeah, that's fine. I am. Just, yeah. We trust all these people. We trust all these entities. You know the broker. You trust him. That's all good and everything. But it still doesn't solve the problem, in my opinion, no matter what, because something has to be done officially, in my opinion. So I'm going to try to make another substitute motion that hopefully
We
we can
can't,
come
yeah,
to
we gotta
agreement
vote
on.
on that one, we can't sub.
Can't substitute?
No, no sub.
Vote on the sub.
But if it fails, then we can keep going.
You sure?
Yes. I went to class.
Well,
Thank you for going to the class. I appreciate that.
And I hate that you can't sub. I'm on your side of subbing, but
okay, well then, I'd like to rehear the actual substitute motion, not what somebody just interpreted it to be, so we can make sure we know what we're voting on, and I'll have an item to say.
Okay, this is Mr. Bagby's substitute motion. Authorize the city manager and the city attorney to negotiate up to the school board's offer contingent upon the school board approving at least 95% of that proposal.
offers an appraisal. Appraisal, not
Appraisal.
offer.
Right, and how in the world does that happen contingent upon the school board's approval, which doesn't happen until next Monday night? Huh?
You're up next anyways.
I believe we have the school board's appraisal number?
No.
Yes, no? 95% of that is what she and he are authorized to negotiate up to.
But he said contingent upon the school board's approval of something.
Of them saying yes. So we have a way to back out of the contract.
contingency contract.
Yeah, so
Which they won't even say yes or no until next Monday. So how in the world, so basically, you're just rolling the dice tomorrow, basically. That we trust the broker, and then we hope that the feeling that Kim gets and the feeling that you get, it's all gonna work out. And I hope to God it does. But I just wanna confirm that you're wanting to roll the dice on that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll gladly respond. Yes, I do trust the school board. Yes,
That's
I
not
do
what I
trust the
said, not the school
broker.
board.
I do trust the broker, okay, and I do trust Kim. It's a contingency contract. They're
get
done all
that.
the time,
That's right.
and we write a contract, or
How often
Kim
do we
writes a
work with
contract.
Canadian banks?
I'm
How
sorry,
often
what?
do we work with Canadian banks?
But the broker, it doesn't have to be a theme.
Yeah, the broker is the one that we're working with, okay? Not the Canadian bank.
Okay.
And we make a contingency contract.
If you want to
They're
roll
done
that dice,
every
just
single
because if
day.
we trust the school board enough, we should be able to make a deal tomorrow to buy it and transfer it to the school district.
They didn't say they'd pay whatever we.
At their appraisal, though, let's make a motion to buy it to their appraisal with it said that we will transfer it and sell it to them at the same price and cost. And that way, it still does what you're wanting to do, and if we all trust each other, it'll work out.
The appraisal is not necessarily what they will offer. An appraisal is the very most.
So then, once again, we're rolling the dice that next week.
Now, back to the questions of contingency contracts. They're all contingency contracts. This one already has a big contingency in it, that it has to be released from the reserve. And it's 24 pages long, as I read through it today. So there's lots of contingencies in there. They're all like that. So if you add one more contingency, like the motion does, I don't see where that puts anything at risk. But once again, we don't want to lock the school board into having to make an offer that is at or very close to the appraisal. They may not want to do it. The other question is, and one that Mr. Bagby quite nicely brought up, is where's the money coming from? I mean, I know we wanted to move it forward so we could let these folks listen to the goings-on, but it might have been more appropriate to have this after the budgetary thing, so we can say, okay, here's the budget. Let's carve some money out so we can make this happen. We haven't done that yet. The budget we have in front of us to approve in just a few minutes, hopefully, doesn't have a contingency in there to buy this piece of property at all, as best I can tell. So, I want to help and encourage the district to buy it. I don't know that they actually need us to be doing this for them.
Right. So we're talking about beach parcels later, right?
Yeah.
We could talk about selling a beach parcel tonight. We're talking about undergrounding utilities tonight. We could talk about adjusting the underground utility plan.
Yeah.
So I think we could find $4 million if we really needed to tonight during the budget hearing. So that's a possibility.
If the budget's already contemplate making those purchases, it doesn't contemplate other than say it could be rolled into a
We can
bond
find it.
issue to make this one.
Right, but we could find it.
All right, sounds like everyone's locked in, so I'm going to call a vote and see where this lies.
Just to clarify, Mayor, the motion is to direct the city manager and the land use attorney, city attorney, to negotiate, as Ms. Kopp
The school appraisal,
emphasized. I didn't even hear her say anything about the school appraisal, but that's,
Are you going with Councilmember Bagby's motion, I think, was to 95% of the school's appraisal with us committing to up to 5%. Was that right, Mr. Bagby?
Up to the school's appraisal value, okay, with us committing 5%. And if you want it 10%, that's fine, because then that should cover the earnest money. More than cover the earnest money. Will you accept that?
are you
as-
okay with the sub for 10?
that's
Or
fine with me.
modification?
Either the percentage,
Not sub.
I'm not that worried about, but I
Yeah.
can't help but point out, tonight we can vote to make an offer. We have to come back and vote again to buy.
Yeah.
I don't know how this broker, you even do that in this kind of a situation, because this has to come back to us again for another vote. So we're not really buying anything tonight. We would make an offer.
Yeah.
And if the way this process is working, the way they've set it up, I think that kind of circumvents part of what they're doing, but maybe not.
Well, yeah, that just keeps us a place in the line, basically. It's a hold function.
I get it.
All right, everyone clear?
Before we vote, though, I need to make sure that's what your recommendation was. I want to be clear on this, because that's what I asked, was your recommendation. I've heard Councilman Bagby say that this was your recommendation, but I want to hear from you. Is this what your recommendation was to council?
If the goal is to ensure that that the school board has the best opportunity to acquire the property, then yes.
All right, the voting's still open. Johnny. I know it's me. All right, ayes have it, so moved. Awesome, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here so much. We're really excited for the partnership, and we hope the best in this negotiation phase. All right, I'd like to see state and federal government move this quickly. Yeah, this is what local government's all about right there. All right, so going now to the undergrounding, 4C. I will,
Thank you all.
we'll move them up.
See you, Diane.
How do we want to start this? I don't have my 4C in front of me here. Do they have a presentation?
No, we don't have a presentation, but if I may, I'll just give you a little synopsis of what the undergrounding status is.
Perfect.
This evening, we have Robert Blount and Stephanie Lindsay. They've been working very hard, helping us accomplish this undergrounding. Many of the business people in the audience might recognize Stephanie. She's been going property to property to achieve the easements where we need them. Robert comes to us as retired from Gulf Power, Florida Power and Light, very long, illustrious career there. And tonight, the item on the table, what we need to discuss is we've been receiving the cost estimates from the carriers to underground the facilities. So we have all of the estimates from FPL, Cox Cable, Unity, and CenturyLink. So they've given us their estimates if they do the labor, and they've also given us the estimates of what it would cost if we do the labor. So they would still have to give us the materials. So I have those in the agenda item, and we're going to recommend, you'll see that there's a price difference in between the two, but we're going to recommend that the city hire a contractor to do this so that we have one conductor conducting this course. And with that, if you don't mind, I'm going to let Stephanie and Robert speak to this just for a moment so you can hear their opinions.
Awesome. So you guys want to just, oh, you guys have a mic, perfect.
Good evening. Stephanie Lindsay, Project Manager with Utility Consultants. Thank you all for having us here tonight. We're excited to get to share some of this good news with you, especially since we've received most of the estimates from the carriers and FPL as well. So the city does have two options moving forward with construction for this project. The first option is to go ahead and allow FPL and the carriers to install their own utility. Caveat that FPL and some of the carriers will not be responsible for things like site restoration, sidewalk restoration, your service laterals. They will not be doing any of that. So the city would still have to procure another contractor or another responsible party to do those aspects of the construction. The second option is to put out a procurement package, an RFP, to select the most qualified contractor in the area to install all 4 utilities at the same time. The benefits of that option are efficiencies with installation of the utilities at the same time, so you don't have multiple contractors showing up just whenever to start the work. You have better communication with your businesses in the affected area as well as your residents. And then there's other efficiencies as well, especially when it comes to DOT permitting. DOT does require that some of the areas are safed up or restored. So if you have one utility come through and start drilling and install their equipment, they have to go ahead and restore that in order to close their permit out. But then you might have another utility, like let's say Unity comes after CenturyLink, and then Unity has to do the exact same thing, tear up all of that sidewalk where they're going to drill and then affect that whole right-of-way and restore it. You could have that happen up to 4 different times. The last aspect of this is that if you leave it up to FPL and the carriers, you're at their schedule, their whim. They do have many other projects, and as well as if there's any storms that come through, they do have to pull out of the job site and go take care of the storm repairs and stuff in other parts of the state. So these are just some of the issues with trying to allow each utility to install their utility at their own time frame. With one contractor, you also have one person responsible for locating and protecting any existing utilities within the project area, which this is some areas are a tighter right-of-way, and there are quite a few utilities out there right now, which we wouldn't want, to impact current service like water service, sewer service, stuff like that. So these are the 2 options that the city has to decide upon.
Great, thank you so much. For the first option, what would be an estimate of how much is not shown to try to get a little bit better apples to apples on the price what we would be liable for the FP&L and carrier performing work. Do you guys have an average of what that price would be that we'd still be liable for?
Yes, so the price that's currently listed on the agenda item is the best estimate that we can provide to this date. So it does capture, you know, the city's responsibility for
Okay.
the service lines, the sidewalk restoration, stuff like that.
Okay, gotcha, thank you. All right, Councilman Destin.
Does anybody ever let FPL do it?
To my knowledge, no.
Well,
Okay,
I can answer on the Gulf Power side, not the FPL side.
right.
So like in Pensacola, on Main Street, there was a project that we went underground for maybe a quarter of a mile. So it was a little different because that was Southern Company, but FPL is totally different than Southern Company. And like Stephanie said, that they won't restore your concrete, or they don't put in the laterals, which is the services going from the transformers to the meter can. So that all falls on the customer.
So hardly ever, huh? Another question, to get this contractor on board that will do it, does it go through the city's bid process, or are you guys doing it? I see one head going yes.
Yes, it would be the city bid process.
Okay. That's all the questions I had.
Always making sure we got the last say. All right, Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to authorize staff to issue an RFP for the undergrounding of all the utilities.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, calling the vote. All right, ayes have it unanimously. All right. All right, so from there, we will now jump up to C, consent agenda. Anyone have anything they'd like to say, or I'd entertain a
Motion to
motion?
approve consent agenda.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, calling the vote. All right, ayes have it, so moved. Jumping back down, 4B, property exchange. Who wants to take this away?
Yeah, we have just a quick update on the potential property exchange at Shores at Crystal Beach Park. The original offer made by the current landowner was to swap the land, and they offered an additional $50,000. We countered that after receiving our appraisals, and that was met with, they did not even want to respond to our counteroffer. So we were asking for council's direction, how council wants us to move forward at this time. Recommend that we consider another counteroffer back at them at a different rate.
All right, Councilman Bagby, take it away.
I'll make a motion that we direct staff to counter the offer with a counter of $250,000.
All right, $250,000 counter, first and a second. I got a Councilman Schmidt.
Appreciate it. Lance, has anybody reached out to the owner of the White House in any recent time? Like past month, 2 months?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to have Lance and Kim reach out to the owner of the White House to see if there's any update on making a deal for that parcel at this time.
Okay. Do I have a second on the substitute motion? Dies for a lack of a second?
Second.
Oh, there we go. All right, any further discussion on the substitute motion?
Yes, what are we accomplishing? The White House is.
Button.
The White House is the reason why we're even talking about property swap tonight, because the White House was the one that, through some way or another, the deal fell through, and we needed that parcel in the middle of the two other parcels, I believe.
Can we do
And-
both?
Sorry, what?
Can we do both? In other words, counteroffer and reach out to the White House?
I mean, I guess it's just a counter, so I guess that wouldn't, I mean, if you want to if you're okay with amending the original motion.
You can withdraw.
Your substitute would include doing both at the same time?
Yeah, that's fine, unless I can withdraw and you can amend the original one either way.
Yeah, we can put them
Okay.
together.
But yeah, that's my substitute I'll do the 250, the counter offer, as well as reaching out to the White House at the same time, so we could at least have both options potentially.
Okay.
Okay, but before I
Yeah,
change
yeah.
my motion.
Yeah.
What
Not
do
sure
we?
if he accepts it, then now we're in
Yeah,
trouble, right,
I
Mr.
want to know
Bagley? I
what
apologize.
I
yeah.
want to know, are we offering to buy the White House parcel or swap the parcel that we're,
Yeah, sorry. Well, you know,
what do we?
nobody's reached out to the guy who owned that property, and I know we've had some transitions in people that were at the city, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Lance, I think Webb and Kyle were kind of the two, or maybe leading that charge back then, and just want to see if maybe today the guy's interested, if Kim and Lance can reach out to him, see if he still has any interest in selling it to us.
I
Or the
guess
county,
my
I guess.
concern, yeah, I guess my concern is, and I don't remember, I think his asking price was like 6 million or something, maybe Lance or Kim will remember what he wanted, and we ended up buying so if we reach out to him, even if he says, oh, I don't want 6 million, I want 3 million,
Good question.
or I want 3 million and I'll take the parcel next door.
Right.
You know, so that you get 3 in a row and you have I'm just not sure how the money aspect of this works, I guess is what
Well, I
I'm.
think there was a lot of, in my opinion, some muddy water, unclear ways of how that relationship ended back then with the White House. And I think we have right now in front of us an offer at $50,000, and you're wanting to negotiate or counter at $250 when the appraisal is $500,000 difference. And until we potentially reach out to just pick up the phone and call somebody to see if there's any interest in talking, that's all we're trying to do.
I'm not asking my question, and I apologize correctly. When we reach out to the owner of the White House, what's our ask? That he take the empty lot to the
Well, I
east?
trust Kim and Lance enough to have those discussions with them when they call them, to find out and
But-
engage them if there's any interest in working with the city of Destin and Okaloosa County again.
I'm sure he's willing to do that at $6 million again, but
Well, we won't know until they call them if we all agree on that, will we, Mr. Bagby?
well, I know.
But you know that, so maybe we shouldn't call them.
No, I'm just saying.
But Mr. Bagby knows.
I'm just saying, what are we going to ask the guy that owns the house? Kim, what is your understanding you're going to ask the guy?
I believe I would just ask him what his current asking price is, if anything has changed, and then bring that information back to council, as well as the response on the $250,000 counteroffer for the swap. So I can just have those two conversations and come back and let you all know what the results are.
I'll amend my original motion to allow staff to reach out to the owner of the White House, whatever the address is, Ray, to ask him if he wants to give us that property or get, what his status is about working
You don't even have
with
to worry
us.
about it, Mr. Bagby, because there's a substitute motion on the table, and that was seconded, so it's all good.
All right, so we have a sub-motion, I'm sorry, or amendment to the motion, and then we're all good there. So Councilman King?
I think I don't want to, can you reread the substitute motion, Ray?
I'll try to help you out too if you don't got it.
Authorize the city attorney to reach out to the owner of the White House and gauge his intention as to whether they want to approve the swap, and to also counteroffer $250,000 for the property.
So just
That's
to
our fault.
clarify, what we're calling the White House is not part of the swap. That's a separate acquisition. That's the property in between the two that we own.
No worries, Ray, I'll take
The one we
heat
had
on that
previously
one.
been in negotiations with.
Yeah. Okay, Councilman Guile?
I'm probably a little biased here because I'm the second, but I don't know why we're in such an uproar if we haven't spoken to the gentleman, and Kevin wants, or Councilman Schmidt wants us to have a conversation with the guy, why that's such a quandary, versus just going back with a counteroffer. I mean, information is king, no matter what you do. So if we just allow staff to have a conversation and just talk to them about any conversation other than a counter, I don't see why we're in such an uproar over that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Jump on in.
Yeah, you do realize we're talking about two different deals here, right? The counter is on the empty lot that we would trade out. There's 4 lots there. There's an empty
I
lot that we
understand.
own, the White House, 2 empty lots that we own, and then the other empty lot.
Right.
Right.
Because the
And-
White House backed out
Right.
after they're the ones that initiated the original.
Yeah, the swap only involves the far western lot and the far eastern lot.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying they should be allowed the opportunity to have conversation and not just go back with a counter. That, I mean, I think that's all he's asking. But when we were talking about amending the motion, that's what it was, both. Was it not, Kevin? Isn't that what the original amendment was going to be?
No, we're just putting both of them together. So we would cover the counter, the 250, and we're going to go talk to the White House and get it, basically bring a report back of his temperament.
Two different options that I'll bring back at the next meeting if, depending on what the response to the counter offer is, and depending on what the response to the White House parcel is. You may or may not have multiple options.
I understand. I'm just confused of why we're so upset about the two different options.
Everyone's
When
passionate.
it's just information.
Just passion.
We're good. Yep, we're good. Everyone good? Everyone got their thoughts? Vote? Calling the vote? All right. Look at that. We're all unanimous.
Do what you gotta do, Kim.
And before we do move on, I just wanted to throw an idea out of that. I just don't want to muddy the waters any more than it was. What would be your guys' thoughts on just purchasing that parcel and have both of them? I know we're running out of money here, but why wouldn't we consider the idea of just buying that parcel out? Because if we're really truly in the need of beachfront, if we're swapping, we're going to allow someone to build, and now that land's going to be locked up in that house's life expectancy. And, as less and less parcels of older or undeveloped land are lacking, I know this would be another 50-50 split. It would just be one more thing to add to our TDC funds. But, it could just be a horrible idea. I just wanted to throw that out there before we move on completely on that. Councilman Gao?
I agree. That's a horrible idea.
That's okay. I just want to say my piece, so I'll drive home some nights thinking, oh man, I should have just asked anyways.
Said it anyhow.
All right, so we'll move on, and that was a bad idea. 4D.
All right.
Lance, take it away.
Thank you. A few quick announcements. There will be a joint city council and local planning agency workshop on September the 25th at 5:30 PM in this room. And discussion and recommendation of policies specific to the Land Development Code, the new Article 4, the zoning districts, the overlays, and on-site regulations. There will also be a code compliance workshop on Monday, October 23rd from 6 to 7:30 PM in this room. The public is encouraged to attend. We're asking for any concerns or questions to be submitted ahead of time to our Public Information Director, Tamara Young, at cityofdestin.com, so that answers can be prepared in advance. On September the 15th, I'm proud to say Crystal Strickland was sworn in as a board member of the Panhandle chapter of the Florida Government Finance Officers Association. Congratulations. And for an update on our road work, I'm going to turn this over to Michael Burgess.
Yeah, got a few projects coming up. Councilor Bagby mentioned renewal and replacement, and this is exactly that. A couple of weeks ago, Lance announced that we were going to be resurfacing Vintage Circle and Vintage Court. That's in the subdivision called Heritage Run. Back on the 12th, that had to be delayed, so the new go-live date on that project will be the 26th. Should take about 2 days. Immediately after that project, we're going to resurface the community center and sheriff substation parking lots. Again, that should take 2 to 3 days. And then we're going to start on using our ARPA funds to replace a lot of corrugated metal piping in West Destin, and the schedule for that is yet to be determined. One other item, The RFB for the demolition of the 3 structures that we recently purchased, it's actually 11 structures, but the 2 sets of townhomes and the triplex at the corner of Benning and Legion, that is out on the street right now. Bids are due back on October the 5th. We've been contacted by the Destin Fire Control District. They would like to have a few training exercises in the Legion Drive, the triplex, and we were hoping to get the council's thoughts on them conducting some training exercises prior to demolition.
Councilwoman Aber?
Is there some kind of motion we need to make to allow them to use it?
We just wanted to make sure council was aware and on board with us allowing this to happen.
Councilman Destin?
We would be fully insured for whatever actions they're taking there, right?
Make sure we have the waivers and hold harmless and certificates.
Ken, the last item is the carpet for the Destin Public Library bid is out on the street right now. Again, it will be back, bids will be back on October the 5th, and we have a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting that'll be this Thursday at 11 a.m. And let me back up for a second. We have a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting for the demolition this Thursday at 9 a.m. So 9 a.m. demolition, 11 a.m. carpet. And that's all.
That's all for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys so much. All right, public hearing 5A. Ms. Kopp.
This is ordinance 2313CN, an ordinance of the City of Destin of Okaloosa County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for the City of Destin for fiscal year 2024 and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
Seeing that this is a public hearing at this time, if anyone has public comments on this specific issue, this is your time to do so. Seeing none, I will close the public comments at this time and entertain a motion. It is page 419. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's 5B. 396.
I'll make a motion to adopt second reading of ordinance 2314-CN.
All right, so we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, calling the vote. All right, ayes have it, so moved. All right, Ms. Kopp.
Ordinance 2314CN, an ordinance of the City of Destin making appropriations for certain expenditures, expenses, capital improvements, and certain indebtedness of the City of Destin, Florida for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, and providing for an effective date.
All right, seeing that this is a public hearing at this time, anyone have comments and thoughts on how we're going to spend your money? Seeing none, I'll close your opportunity. Final and last thoughts? All right, public comments are closed, and does anyone have a motion they would like to present? I have the
I'll
page.
make the motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2314-CN.
Motion is second. No further discussions. Councilman Destin?
Okay, this is the budget, correct?
Yep. Fire away with the mic on.
The only observation I would make is there are lots of ways that we can raise the money to buy these properties that we are anticipating buying. The money is in the budget. We just have to make a priority of where we're going to spend it. Just out of curiosity, and I know I hate to give Crystal a question that she has to answer and may not have the numbers right in front of her head, but how many new vehicles are we buying in this fiscal year?
It just takes a second. Hold on, we're looking it up.
Okay.
Double
And,
checking.
You know, the point that I would make is,
But new vehicles.
New vehicles.
Only 2. One for another code inspector, another building department personnel, and one more for code enforcement.
so what other kind of vehicles are we buying?
The others are replacements of older motorized items that we have.
Okay, well, you know, I would include those. And I was just wondering what the number might be. And you can, if you don't get it tonight, that's all right. I'm just going to throw that out as we move forward to buy these big pieces of property. You can put off those new vehicles for a year and save a substantial amount of money. The other thing that you can do is just say, okay, we're going to have a 3% reduction or some percentage across the board in department budgets. The money is there to make these purchases, and since we can amend the budget anytime we want, I feel comfortable go ahead and voting for the one tonight. But if we're going to go forward to make these big capital improvements and buy these big properties, then we can do it, but we have to readjust our priorities in the budget and look for the gold mine and make some differences, which, as we go forward, I'm sure that will have to happen, hopefully. And we can also make it a combination of doing that and raising some fees and some taxes if we have to. But we have to remain sound in what we're spending. And, like we all see tonight, we'd like to buy all kinds of stuff, but we only have so much money. The cost of living in this budget, has that already been addressed?
That's saying yes.
Yes, it's at 3%,
Is it 3%?
just shy of, yeah.
2.97? Okay, that's the only question I have at this moment.
All right. No, and good point. It's not saying no to a project, but maybe just pushing it one more year down the line while we have these more pressing timeline projects coming in.
It could make a tremendous difference if that money can be put down as down payment.
Yeah. Councilwoman Aber.
Thank you, Mayor. And to speak to what Mr. Destin was talking about, the new vehicles, in my day job, the one I get paid for, I do a lot of driving through other counties, and the code compliance vehicles in 2 different counties are small, little, 2-door, like economy cars, and the code compliance, folks that are driving it are just one person. I feel like we could downsize. We don't need to get trucks, because it's not like code compliance needs to haul tables or whatever in the beds of a truck. And the second, for inspectors, same thing. The inspectors, we could probably look at purchasing a less expensive, instead of getting 2 brand-new trucks, look at the cost of some sort of economy car, since it's usually one individual that's doing inspections or one individual that's driving around doing code compliance. Just a thought, a good way to save money instead of constantly always replacing trucks with trucks when they're not necessarily a required mode of transportation. I think that's where we could probably save some money as well.
Good point. All right, Councilman Bagby.
Where did we end up falling out on the merit? Did we stay at 4, or what did we?
It stayed at 4 currently.
And I will just echo Mr. Destin's. There are other ways. We're going to talk about one of them here in a little bit, to other streams of income that we can work on. But, there's no big chunk of money just sitting there that the staff's not using. So, and I agree, we can make efficiencies everywhere. But it's good. Thanks.
Councilman Guile.
I know we kind of hit on this last week a little bit, but I don't know that there was an actual formal a motion or request. But City of Destin has a lot of land assets out there. And is there a list of what those land assets are and the estimated value of those assets that we have currently that we own out there? Or is there a combined list that kind of lets us know if we need to make a move and we need to divest something, what's available and what we could quickly reference and decide what we wanted to divest? Is there something out there currently?
Yes, as far as properties are concerned, yes, we do have a complete list of city-owned properties, which we can make available to you.
Okay, I would love a copy of that. I don't know if anybody, can we please get a copy of that? Does that have to be a motion, or can we just ask?
That's okay, we'll provide.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, so seeing.
And Michael has the list of the vehicles that are to be exchanged this year. Go ahead, Michael.
Like Crystal said a few moments ago, the building inspectors, they're going to be getting 2 vehicles, I believe. Yeah. City Hall, we have a 2012 Ford Fusion that we'll be replacing. Code enforcement will not be getting, not under this line, but they won't be getting any renewal and replacement vehicles. It'll be new vehicles for new officers. Public Works, we're proposing to replace a 2005 bucket truck, and that's what we use to trim trees. And that's what we use to pull our chipper around, after a hurricane or a big storm, to trim trees and mulch them on site. Also a 1999 Ford F-450 and 1 van. And then Parks and Recreation will be replacing 5 of their Gators, which are the little John Deere vehicles that they use at Morgan Sports Center and other locations, and 1 F-150.
And do we have a cost? I take it we're replacing these old vehicles with new vehicles?
Okay, so the largest expense here is the Gators. It all comes to about $577,000 to replace all of these.
The exact point I would make. If we put it off for a year, we got 500 and some $1,000 that could go down on these properties. And of course, that's not the subject of a motion tonight, but it's something we need to look very closely at. And I would caution the city manager to stand by before he orders $550,000 worth of vehicles.
All right, Councilman Bagby?
Yeah, when can we expect the renewal and replacement spreadsheet?
We're pretty close. The biggest, so there's been a lot of deferred maintenance in the city, especially after 2006. So the stumbling block I came upon is if we were to do everything that is past due next year, that would be over $20 million. So what we're trying to do is prioritize all of those past due projects, trying to get to the most critical ones before they go up and cost 7 times more than what they would cost. So it's taking a lot longer than I anticipated. But Michael, what do you think? Do you think we could finish that probably by early November, right? We need, to finish up everything, to complete through the list.
I don't see that would be a problem at all. We've completed the vast majority of it, though.
So the reason I asked, so I've written down first meeting in November, and I will go back and put that in my little tickler list. But the reason I bring that up is, we were going to have it this summer, and then we were going to have it, now it's the first meeting in November. And I understand it's hard, but this is just y'all's recommendation. Because then what happens is the Public Works Committee gets the sidewalk and the road and all those things, and they go out and they verify, for lack of a better term, your recommendation and say, no, these sidewalks are good, you need to replace this sidewalk over here. Because the way we've always, when we had a program, I'll put it like this, the way we did it was we went by linear feet of sidewalk. And it really didn't matter. The Public Works, Public Safety Committee came back and we told them, you got 800 or 8,000 linear feet of sidewalk at 36 inches wide or 5 feet wide or whatever we said. You got X amount of concrete, and then they help prioritize, or they validate it in their 7 folks that go out to each of the sections. Same thing with Parks and Recs. The Parks and Rec Committee, we can say we want to replace the sod on this field or that field or this area or that area. But really, they go out and verify that. So it's all of us working together. And until you get that recommendation, and the committees can verify it, then we really can't do anything. And so I'm just at, first meeting in November, whatever you got, bring it. Thank you.
All right, and I guess my last question on here, just more of a Something I should have probably asked earlier, like a .2 as far as a different in, for example, the city engineer site inspector is a .2 that's budgeted. Does that mean it's a part-time, like a quarter time? Is that like a third-party service? What's a .2 an employee?
So we have certain employees, like scorekeepers and some other, there are a few different positions. They work about 12 hours a week
Okay,
and not necessarily year-round.
okay,
Most of the other part-time people, they tend to work .73 because they tend to work 29 to 30 hours a week.
okay. Awesome. All right.
Mr. Mayor, and I don't want to step on Crystal's toes, but I think what you may be referring to is how we pay for certain positions oftentimes is split amongst the different
Multiple
funds.
layers.
So it might be .8 out of transportation and .2 out of physical environment for one person.
That makes sense.
Because their responsibilities kind of fall in both areas.
Yep, and I get that, especially with it being in the community development where we can offset that with the costs we bring in through the fees that we collect. So thank you for that. All right, seeing no further discussion, we're going to call the vote. Do we have a vote? Everyone good with the recommended vote? All right. Ayes have it unanimously, so moved. All righty, getting into comments, Councilmember Guile.
Is Matt Sweetser okay? I'm just concerned from surgery and everything.
He has sick children in the house and did not know if he would be contagious, so stayed home just in case.
Well, I truly appreciate that, Matt. Thank you very much.
Being the wingman over there. All right. Anything else? All right, Councilman Destin.
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor.
Nothing. Councilman Bagby.
Two things, real quick. First thing, I want to congratulate the newest attorney in the state of Florida. She'll be sworn in next Monday in Tallahassee by some judge that I don't know. She wanted Pat Maney, but her firm wanted somebody else. So her firm, who pays her bills, won out. But that's my youngest daughter, Jennifer Ann Bagby, passed the bar, and she got her results today. So, yeah, her mom and I are very proud of her. The Parks Foundation bylaws. Well, I've asked the city manager to put that on the agenda for the next meeting. I've offered to help write those, draft those, or edit those from another city that we stole them from to change the same thing we did with the tree ordinance. We just borrowed it. And so this is a stream of income that we sorely need. But there's going to be a couple of things that we have to do just so everybody understands. We're going to have to appoint a board. You know, we had a conversation with the staff today about, well, maybe just using the Parks and Rec Board. That is not, when you have a nonprofit foundation, having set up several of them, you want, about a third of them are people that can write big checks, a third of them know people that write big checks, and a third of them do most of the work because they can't write big checks, which is where I'm usually at on those foundation boards. The other thing is you usually want to try to have an attorney or somebody with legal experience, a realtor, and a CPA or an accountant, because you're dealing with a lot of money. But this is a way that we can let people donate parcels to us and get a tax break. This is a way that we can let people donate money to us and get a tax break. And so it's way past time for us to have one of these. And we will have the bylaws in front of you at the very next meeting.
Fantastic.
And that's all I have, Mr.
Well, I
Mayor.
appreciate that. That's awesome. That's great news. Councilwoman Abear.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a TDC meeting on Wednesday. I'll bring the minutes back from that meeting to our first meeting in October. I just want to make sure if anyone had any ideas or thoughts that they wanted me to bring, let me know. Okay?
Just fight for our firefighters.
Right.
All right, Councilman King.
Nothing tonight. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Schmidt.
I appreciate it. Before I have my couple items off the list here, Lance, would it be possible for you or Michael to take a drive down Main Street and to see about a landscaping project and the medians and see what's missing from our current contract or what needs to be looked at, because as I saw the CVS on the corner of Main and 98 not too long ago, did a massive improvement, and now we have Publix making very quick speed on Main Street. Our city medians need to be looked at. If we could, I would love to check that out if y'all could. Maybe just let us know what's missing, what we need to do, possibly. One of the new things on our strategic vision was a comprehensive look at the parks, Morgan's and things like that. Is there a plan for how that might go from here? Have y'all talked about that yet? I know it's early on, but.
Yeah, we have. We were waiting for tonight for the budget approval.
Gotcha.
There were funds included in there to get a master plan
Okay.
For the parks.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate it. All right, and then conceptual idea for One Harbor property. I apologize for the delay. Last minute, there was some things emailed to you guys, and I believe maybe. Troy, do we have this pulled up available? I would first like to let everybody know that our great friend John Stevens, and mainly his amazing wife, Allie Stevens, talented wife. I asked about getting some help on some things to just put something together on, a color scale and an idea conceptually, because I know she's very talented graphically, and their family is very committed to our community as well. And so I first wanted to thank both of them for doing that. I met with them and kind of shared some ideas and thoughts, and then she put this together. So, we heard not too long ago an idea for a city marina, and I know we're probably going to hear more ideas as well. But as I told y'all back then, I wanted to bring forth this idea sooner than later. And please know that this is all just ideas, conceptual thoughts, and things that we put together. And the key, focus on our discussions, and when I gave her free artistic creativity to kind of go, and it was all about the culture and the community and the conservation. Those were kind of the key areas of what they were trying to do here. So this view right here, if in case you can't tell, is looking, I guess, west over the Destin Bridge. And if you haven't been down to that parcel yet, it has a drastic, I say drastic, maybe not in the engineer's terms, but a slope. It has a natural slope already kind of there. Where if you're looking on the left side of your screen here, the Destin words are kind of at the top where that big tattoo parlor used to be. And those are kind of potential landmark photo op opportunity with the words Destin there. On the left side is where that current wall is that, Mr. Green even showed that we have a view corridor to kind of walk on and be there. But one of the cool things, though, about this is it takes what is kind of naturally there and uses that as resources, right? So, not worrying about bringing in bleachers or seats or construction. I mean, obviously there's going to be construction, but what you're seeing here is using the slope and the hill that's already there to create kind of this bowl of an amphitheater / park and things like that. The green area, as you see, is literally grass. It's grass steps. If you haven't been to a park like this in different towns, it's 5 to 6 foot wide steps that are also seating areas, and you sit down and have picnics and things like that. At the very bottom, in the middle of this picture, you'll see a massive magnolia tree. And in case you haven't been down there lately, that's an actual tree that is there. So when we're talking about the conservation of things, I think it fits it very well that we could potentially use that tree, as massive as it is, as something that we can save. And below that is the somewhat stage that is being presented as a gathering point for the community band or a show that somebody wants to come give. We have potentially to the left side of that, it's a little squiggly, it's hard to see, but the idea of that is an education interactive wall, where we're highlighting the history of Destin, the history of Choctawhatchee Bay, our entire community, what we're about, fishing, the village. And we have a little walking wall around there. Above that, you can't really see it too there, but it's a little small. But ideally, it's not small. It's the picture of the gargantuous, famous Goliath grouper that is pictured in the community center right now, back in old-time Destin with the big Goliath grouper. It's a potential statue. And then you got the boats and everything, and that's mooring, transit vessels. There's all sorts of opportunities and ideas that those docks can be used for. That's all details that will all be worked out later. And if you looked at the next one, it just gives you a different kind of overhead view of what we were just looking at, which now you're looking at it and you see the boardwalk. If you haven't been down there, it's kind of interesting. And maybe Mr. Destin, somebody knows, but there's like a constructed boardwalk already down there. It almost looks like it used to be a road or something down there. Maybe there was an access way and it was a road back there. And, for all we know, maybe we could it's got somewhat of a structure. That's a good starting point down the line. But, you have the sandy area, you have some tents, you have some patio area to have your lunch and your park and all that stuff and with your family. Top right off of Calhoun, across the street from McGuire's, is a food truck you see. There's enough space up there already to have a food truck or two come up and provide that opportunity to feed people while they're there doing whatever they're doing. Another cool aspect of the bowl and the stage is that the music, if there is music, because I know when we talked about amphitheater, there's been different complaints and stuff about music and being loud. It's actually pointed towards the Emerald Grand. And so, the residential side is behind it, is all I'm saying. And the residential condominium is behind it. And so, it kind of sets it up perfectly because it's projecting that way. And depending on who comes and plays, the Emerald Grand has front row seats on their balconies to be watching down into that. So it's kind of a cool feature if you think about it, that allows the Emerald Grand to view it, but also allows the entertainment to be shot that direction to the harbor. It's in our harbor center. It's in the Harbor Town Center, and it's just an idea. And I know we talked about being public benefit. And I know we'll have a lot of ideas and comments and different things later on possibly being presented about public benefit. But to me and to Allie and to John, the idea of building something green and something that people can gather and hang out and talk and still fish off down at the bottom and bring a transient boat and then eventually one day connect underneath the bridge, it just speaks loud about public use for our citizens. So before I ask if anybody has, I will see John. Is it okay if I ask John to wrap up with anything I missed? Is that okay?
Jump on up.
All right.
Yep, go ahead. I think it's your first time, so name it.
I invited Allie to speak, but
she did not
said,
want to
no,
talk.
thank you, I'm good.
John Stevens, 4025 Indian Trail. She actually had fun drawing this, and she did a good job with it. Couple things that I wanted to add to it is I want to see us focus on potentially getting into the mooring harbor. Right now, in the whole Panhandle, there is no mooring harbor, so we're missing out on the loopers. So this property, in the bottom, there's like a building. We could potentially use that as a potential place for a harbor master to be stationed at. Maybe a welcome center. But key thing is if we put bathrooms in there, showers in there, and have a dinghy dock down there, I think it could help us lead to potentially getting into that mooring harbor idea. Oh, good.
Did you say loopers?
Loopers, yeah. So
tell us about loopers.
So pretty much they're sailors or boaters that pretty much travel all around they'll go from Texas all the way around Florida and up, or to the Keys. My in-laws were one of them, and they couldn't find a place to stop like anywhere around here. So
I had some conversations with Mr. Galati, who runs on the harbor there, and that was something that he was very excited about. I kind of had just an idea of mooring, and he said it's definitely more upscale than it used to be, and it's definitely more of almost like a glamping on the water now that a lot of people are getting into.
Well, and if you have I'm with you, not to get off topic, but if you have a designated mooring area, it cleans up a lot of the crap in the harbor.
exactly,
Yeah,
and
it
it gives us authority to where code can actually enforce the water.
Yeah, and have our own rules on top of a layer. Yep.
That's one of the things. I mean, definitely, we'd have to have a pump out station there. A couple other things. I remember Bobby talking a long time ago about possibly having a ferry stop here, maybe. Could potentially be that stop too. The thing about parking, we don't really need parking because you think about it, we can have like a sign at the entrance saying, directing everyone to go park over at Zerby or the community center. And then maybe you just leave maybe a handicap parking spot, maybe a parking spot for code / law enforcement. But transient slips, there's actually a lot of money in that. I mean, I know with mooring balls, people pay good money to park there. Then not only that, they also pay to park their dinghy temporarily. You can actually charge more for transient slips for people to be there per hour, or if you wanted to do a temporary like day or weekly at a time. So there's opportunity to make money. And then the one last thing I want to make sure that we do is if we could work with the Choctawhatchee Basin Alliance, and we could potentially have an opportunity to do oyster farming. And when I say oyster farming, it's not to eat, but it's to actually move the oysters to create more living shores in our area. So that's all I got.
Awesome. All right, Councilman Guile.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. I appreciate that. He showed me a handwritten drawing before his wife came up with the conceptual concept in the waiting room of a chiropractor. This is much, much better than the stick figure drawing you showed me there. But I'm very excited when local community gets involved in this. I do have a question for Kevin, though. One thing Councilman Bagby mentioned is possibly putting the city buildings down in that area and making that more city center or something of that nature, but that was pulled from Publix. Have you had any more conversations with Publix about what they're doing over there?
Oh, man, I thought we were going to get out before 10.
We have, and I mean, we don't have to go into too many details, but I mean, there is discussions coming soon to talk about the interest of a partnership with the city, and we're still in discussion about what that partnership's going to look like. But yeah, I mean, there's a partnership.
All right, and I didn't mean to throw you under the bus, but I mean, there's so many ideas. I want to make sure that the pathway is being cleared for some of these ideas.
Yeah.
All right, Councilwoman Aber.
Thank you, Mayor. John, your wife did a phenomenal job, and you and I discussed what they have over in Fort Walton Beach. This is kind of exactly something that our residents could truly enjoy, it not being something that people have to rent or pay to be a part of, to just be part of this is our public event. It's beautifully drawn, and she did a great job. I mean, I can't imagine anybody in our city not wanting this to be put in place. So thank you for bringing it to us. Look forward to hopefully working and making this conceptual into a real thing. Thanks.
Councilman King.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I just wanted to say, kind of echo the same thing, is that, you know, it's nice when you have a piece of property like this that is so valuable, not only monetarily, but for the, you know, for the generations of Destin residents that, you know, live here and will live here, and just the value, just the sheer value of this place, and to see what I think guys like Jim Green and John and other people coming together and bringing your ideas and, you know, what could be here. I think I would just like to encourage people, if you have ideas, keep bringing them. You know, there's a way for us all to kind of contribute to what we're doing. I foresee some workshops in the future for what we're going to wind up doing. So I just think it's the coolest thing. I love the drawing. Allie's super talented. I just think it's great. So, thanks.
Councilman Bagby.
Thank y'all. Thank you, everybody, and Ally for doing this. And to Johnny's point, Captain Green's idea. Louis, just remind us what the process is, because to Councilmember King's point, there are going to be workshops, and we are going to do a holistic view of all the parcels we own, at least down in that area of that part of town. What is the process the staff's bringing back to us at the next meeting?
Okay, well, thank you. I'm running a little cold here, so forgive me. We are in the process right now, talk with the city manager about this, about us having a comprehensive view about our redevelopment efforts in that whole corridor, so that we not only take a look at each of these properties, but we take a complete view of all the properties that we own, because we have a number of projects that are not only like these that are being proposed, but already currently underway. We got the proposal to do the underpass to cross 98. We got the Stolman 98 study that's going on. So we need to harness all these projects into a cohesive redevelopment effort. And I'll speak about that at our next meeting. And also propose a way forward to get all these ideas incorporated so we have public input on it and get excitement in the community, and then have a proper way to select what projects go where. And also, as Councilmember Schmidt just mentioned, we have positive news from the folks that are now taking care of the property that the public does not want to utilize. They want to partner with us. So there are all these opportunities that we need to take care of and properly plan and take advantage of. And
Yeah,
I'll have that discussion with you at our next meeting.
I appreciate Kevin and staff who have been talking to Publix. It sounds like they're slowly coming to see the light. Awesome. Yeah. I think they realize our legal team has put up a wall that they can't jump over without going through us, so I'm excited for that. And just the only thing I would add from that ferry system idea, at the co-op meeting that I'm a part of for the county, we just passed to recommend to the county to add the ferry system study into their transportation network, not to exceed 90 days of the current due date. And it seems to be, so far, getting good traction. So we at least have the study to see if it's a viable product. One thing to have an idea, but after the initial study, data came back saying that, as we all know as locals, that Okaloosa Island is failing during the summer. This actually became a recommended mode of transportation, public transportation, from HDR, which is the people doing the work. So while we're talking ferry, one more little tiny step forward. So I have no other further discussion. I wasn't going to bring that up, but since we talked ferries, I'm going to add that as my little update. And land use, city attorney. Oh, look at that. We got to change that up now.
I don't have anything, thank you.
All right. Public comments. Were you listening and then came? Nice.
3826 Indian Trail, Brian Otto. How you guys doing? Thank you. Was it like 7:30? It's not 5.5 hours later. For the last few months, the spirit of collaboration has been wonderful. The meetings have been way better. The YouTube is better. We can hear you guys. It's just better. So I came up here just to say thank you.
Yeah, look at that. I appreciate that. Yeah. Man, progress in the city.
Yeah. Yay, IT.
Yeah. Again, I want to see a state or federal government move this quick. All right. Well, seeing any other public comments? And the only question I had, and not to put you on the spot, for the petition, where's the best way for people to sign up or do that? Or is that still something you guys are working on? For the speed hump, sorry. Sorry to throw a complete left field, but I just...
The way the process would normally work, anybody that has a speed hump that meets the 85th percentile will be sent to Michael Burgess, and they will determine the affected area of the petition.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got some forms in the policy letter. I've also sent another one to be considered. You need to take those, get them filled out, let to check the signatures, make sure they're valid signatures, and then get those presented, and it will come back through my committee, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Just something on my mind. All right, with that, it is 7:39, and the meeting is adjourned.